Hey guys, how you doing? It's Brad with ATRE Podcast.com, all things real estate. I've got a wonderful show for you today. We've got Dana Potter from Los Angeles, California. Now, Dana is the CEO of Pinnacle Estate Properties in Los Angeles, California. His company has 12 offices and approximately 1,100 agents. He is a veteran of over 40 years in the real estate industry. The Pinnacle offices are situated in Los Angeles, Malibu Beach, the San Fernando Valley, the Santa Clarita Valley, and the Conejo Valley. Now, Dana is a staple in Los Angeles. He was the founder of the company, in which started in 1985 with just 2 offices and 140 agents. And in the midst of the financial downturn, Dana and his partners decided to grow and expand when most companies were cutting back. Pinnacle owns and operates an independent escrow company, Ridgegate Escrow, and a title company, Priority Title. And they recently just bought into a lending company, if they weren't busy enough, CSMC Mortgage. Now, Dana is a former football coach, and as the quarterback coach, all 6 of his quarterbacks have either won, CIF or all CIF awards. 5 of the 6 quarterbacks that he has coached went on to Division I scholarships, and 2 even went on to the NFL. One won a Super Bowl, Malcolm Smith. The other one didn't just win a Super Bowl, won a couple. He also won MVP. That's Hall of Famer John Elway. Dana, you're amazing. I mean, Dana sees numerous similarities between coaching football players and coaching real estate professionals. Dana feels there are parallels to recruiting and retention, as well as competing against the brands and disruptors. He gets great enjoyment from seeing his Pinnacle agents achieve their dreams. Dana is married to Maureen of 42 years. He is the proud dad of 2 sons, Matthew and Christopher, and he's a papa to 3 amazing grandchildren. Dana, he loves God, and he's an elder at his church. In his spare time, he loves to fish, body surf, do Bible study, golf, ride his Harley. Yes, he's a Harley rider. He's a cool dude in a loose mood. He likes to spend time with his family and his friends. Welcome, Dana. We're really happy to have you today.
Wow, thank you for that introduction. I'm not sure that I deserve all that, but I appreciate it very much. And thank you for having me on the show. You are doing some really amazing things with not only your sales career, but in helping so many other real estate professionals.
Well, thank you very much, Dana. I owe a lot of it to you and your partners, and especially you. Most of you know from listening to my podcast that I am and have been at Pinnacle for my whole career for 23 years. And Dana was one of the first people that I met at Pinnacle and really took me under his wing. And he really, guided me through my career and saw me from just a young man to really who I am today. And I appreciate you. And I'm so thankful for who you are and what you've done for my life and my career. So thank you.
Brad, I'm so grateful for you and your family. I mean, I just, you have an amazing family with your kids as well, but your dad has really played an intricate part in my life, and just watching him in his career played a big role in how I approach my career.
So that's wonderful for you to say thank you. And my dad, at the end of every episode, I always say, as my dad always said, have an attitude of gratitude. And, you're a big believer in gratitude as well. And I hope you saw my quote yesterday.
Yes,
did you
absolutely.
see that? It's
Yes.
hard. It's hard to be hateful if you've got a plate full of grateful.
Yeah, that's right. That was awesome.
And I know that you're a big believer in that. So Dana, again, let's get on with the program, but I want to say thank you. And I just wanted to pay homage a little bit to you because you are such a wonderful person. Mm-hmm. So Dana, how has COVID affected real estate and the way you did business in 2020? That's one part of this question. And the other is, do you feel that any changes that we had to make are going to be permanent changes, and how will we, make them a part of our everyday 2021 and so on life?
A great question. I think the one thing that COVID did was it immediately eliminated a couple of avenues of the business that were very popular. It eliminated the ability to hold open houses. It eliminated the ability to knock on doors. Even things like taking someone from your sphere out to lunch or out to dinner and getting to know them better. Things like that are like super important to our sphere program. You know, when you take a look at open houses, I mean, what a great avenue to not just sell houses, but also to meet potential buyers and also neighbors that are coming in and kind of checking out how you work. And so the elimination of those things was kind of a tough adjustment, but we had no other choice but to move on. And so those agents that had built relationships through maybe their geographical farm or through their sphere of influence continued to do really well.
You had to figure out a different way to pivot, right? I mean, one of the things I loved about Pinnacle is we were all scared. I mean, you guys were scared too. But you really, you put a leader's, face on, and you guys said, look, we're going to be honest with you. We have no idea what's going to happen here, but we're here. This is how we're going to go forth. We think it's going to be great, and rah, rah, rah. And you guys captained the ship fantastically. And we had a really wonderful year. And so that's great. What do you see? What do you think is going to stay, Dana? I mean, are we a Zoom company now? I mean, I miss seeing you guys. I want to give you guys a hug, and we can't do it. What do we do?
Yeah, I will tell you that is really a tough thing. Zoom has its pluses and its minuses. Right. In the beginning, for me, it was so difficult because I'm so used to doing meetings in which, you're looking into the eyes of all the different agents and so forth. And it's just so fun being able to relate, almost feeling like you're one-on-one with each of them. All of a sudden, you're looking into a computer screen. And while it was difficult, I think we've somewhat kind of got used to it. And there are things that I really like about it, as opposed to traveling to all the different offices. Some of the offices are over an hour away from where I work. And so traveling there for an hour and then traveling back for an hour and having a meeting for an hour and then staying after and visiting with people for 30 minutes, and pretty soon more than half your day is gone, and you have to have lunch. So it's kind of Zoom has had its good side as well. And I think one of the things that is also going to stay is social media, the power of social media. I think one of the things that we learned through all of this is connections are really critical to our business. And it's nice to meet new people and so forth, but
you need that. You need to be connected.
Yeah, you got to be.
That's a great point, Dana. And for everyone out there who's new and listening to this program, Dana and my company have, and my belief is business is built on relationships and it's built on connections, and we're doing the best we can connecting through Zoom and other things. But just like in a strong marriage or a strong faith or whatever you have in life, you need that human touch, that human care, that smile, that connection, like you said, is so important. Dana, where do you see real estate headed?
Well, it's interesting. I'm not sure if you're talking about from a consumer's point of view or from an agent's point of view, but I think with regards to prices, for example, right now in most areas around the country, there's a very low supply of houses that are for sale, and there's great demand. I think people are realizing, especially with today's interest rates, that what an amazing time to buy. I've been doing this for over 40 years. I've never seen rates
Well,
in the
Dana, it's funny you say that because guys, in 1997, I got my license in 98, and in 97, I was at one of our two offices at the time, our Northridge office, and Dana was speaking. And Dana stood up and he said, guys, so first we had Leslie Appleton Young speak, who was the chief economist for California, right? And I think she might be. And you stood up after and you said, guys, listen, interest rates are at an all-time low. We haven't seen them this low in years. They're at 6.5%. They're unbelievable. And now look, Dana, 2 7/8. Would you ever have thought in your career that they would get to where money is almost free?
Oh, it's so crazy to think about. I can remember door knocking in my farm in the 80s, and I'd list a house and I'd ask, how much they owed and their interest rate and so forth. And people would say like 5.5%. And I'd think to myself, because in 1980, I think interest rates
18%,
were like
right?
half,
Yeah.
So I just couldn't get it over. I'm thinking, why didn't they buy the entire city when
right.
5.5%?
Right.
It's just funny, and now if rates got up to 5.5%, people would be screaming.
They'd be up in arms. They would feel cheated.
Exactly.
Dana, what do you think that a new agent should be focusing on right now in order to succeed?
Well, it's kind of funny because I look more at the direction of a person's career as opposed to the exact results that they had yesterday.
Right.
I want new agents to constantly be improving. I think that's really very critical. I think John Wooden has got a great quote. I can't quote it, but it talks about getting better every single day. Yeah. And I think that's really the primary emphasis. And to do that, it involves different things. It involves education.
Yes.
I really want to see how much new agents are learning in their first year.
So important, isn't it?
Oh,
I try to tell my agents all the time, I say, even though you're taking classes from me or I'm coaching you, take everyone's class, talk to everyone, and people say, well, I don't really learn very well. I don't do that very well. And I say to people, so you want to talk about a John Wooden coach, a quote, one of my favorite quotes that he's ever said, and I think I said this to you before, Dana, is John Wooden said, everything you've ever learned, you've learned from someone. So you learned how to cry and you learned how to lie and you learned how to be happy and you learned how to be sad. You learned how to walk and you learned how to talk from someone. You've always learned without knowing it. So just sit there and listen and you'll learn.
Education is so powerful in our industry. There's so much more to learn than when I got in this business.
Yeah.
And, all the forms have changed, and we've got not 5 forms, but we've got 100 forms, and some of those forms have 10 to 15 pages of fine print, and it's and even beyond the forms. And one of the things that I think you, Brad, are just absolutely excellent at, and excellent at teaching new agents, is really how to work with people. And there's not very many classes on that in our industry, but the way that you're going to work with someone that is a baby boomer, a kind of up in years seller, is very different than how you're going to work with someone
millennial,
just starting to buy a house. So I think
thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, really,
Dana,
how many classes are there for that?
There isn't, and I'm coaching now on people on how to try to find their authentic self and giving them ideas on how to do that. And but one of the things, and I don't know if you realize, but so part of when I teach that, it's really realizing who you are and how people perceive and see you. Mm-hmm. So a couple things have stuck with me through the years. One was, I asked my father, Dad, if you could, give me one word to explain who I am, what would you say? Now, mind you, everyone, if you ask that question, you better be prepared for what you're going to hear. So my father looks at me and he says, intense. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, that's horrible. And I was so sad and I couldn't understand. And I thought about it for quite a while. This was close to 20 years ago. And I embraced it. And I said, okay, my dad sees me as being intense. And I started asking other people and they said, oh yeah, that's a great word for you. But I learned that it's not a bad thing, but I learned how to curb it. So to be intense, but yet bring it down. So the beginning of our show, I tried to give you a lot of enthusiasm. I was very intense. But then as the show goes on, we want to tone it down a little, right? And we want to kind of mirror each other while we're talking. Same kind of thing. I had to learn how to not be so emotional about it. And another thing is you, Dana, had said to me, it had to have been close to 20 years ago as well. You said, Brad, you have a need to be, you need that attaboy, from being in sports and other things growing up. You need that positive affirmation and you need to be, positive reinforcements. And I thought I was a little taken back by that. And I thought, oh gosh, Dana doesn't like me or Dana doesn't do this. And the truth is it couldn't be more opposite. You care about me and you like me, but I needed, that you were just recognizing what I needed in somebody. And there was nothing wrong with that. So for me, in my later years, I really appreciate your honesty in what you did. And I noticed that you do that with many agents, and that's why you're so well respected.
Well, thank you. It's funny. When you're talking about how you first took what your dad said, I used to ask kids, I love to ask them right before the game started. I said, hey, how you feeling? and a lot of times they would say, I'm nervous. And I would say, you're not nervous, you're excited.
Yeah.
And, looking at things from a positive
Yes.
standpoint, I said, you should be excited for a game.
You.
I mean, how fun is this? We practice and practice and practice, and now we get to play a game. This is so fun. And your family's in the stands and
you turned it around on them.
Cool. Exactly. So, you've got to look at things from a
positive
angle. You got to kind of know who you are and what you have to offer that is unique and different. And once you understand that, I think it really puts you on the right road to success.
It's amazing. One of the things I've been practicing now and doing and telling my agents to do as well is don't tell people you're stressed out. Say, I'm in demand. I'm in demand. How great is that? You're in demand. You've got people after you. They want your business. They want to be around you. Enthusiasm breeds enthusiasm, right?
It's huge. It's huge.
So Dana, as you know, this is a nationwide show and you're speaking to newer agents all over the country. What advice could you give to a newer agent who is looking to join a company and really isn't sure what questions to ask or what to look for?
Excellent question. I think there's certain things that agents should be looking for that most of the time when I interview people, they don't ask those questions. Now, I usually bring it up in the course of the conversation, but I think it's really important that they know these things. What is the difference between an independent and a brand? Right. Okay, I think that's really very important. I want them to know that I've been doing this a long time, and as far as I can see, the brands are really about themselves.
Right.
They are not about the agent. It cracks me up when I have agents that interview with us and say, I'm at XYZ company and it's a big brand, and they don't allow me to have my picture or my name, bigger than the brand's name. And I just think, wow, how silly and stupid is that?
Right.
Because the one thing that I do know for sure is clients pick agents based upon 4 criteria. They want to like you, they want to trust you, they want to have seen or heard from you recently, and they want to know that you're successful. And I think being able to be at a company that is really going to promote you and not the brand, I think is really important. And I also think training is very critical. I think if they have a a mentor program or a training program. I think that's very important. To have someone on staff that is there all the time, that you can always ask a question. Can you call after hours and
It's important, right?
get answered? I think that is super important.
It's probably pretty important too. It's great when you have uh, owners that are agents as well, and really understand kind of what you're going through and what you need to do. I always felt when I started, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but I was a part of your very first Top Gun program.
Yeah.
And I was so proud because as the years progressed, I was the only one who actually made it in real estate. And, that's just the way it is, right? You'll have 15, 20 people in your class. And your environment for me was a really positive one because there was a lot of ball players around and a lot of, uh, just very competitive people. And for me, thrived in that. As you know, I loved to be like, wait a second, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And I want to be there. And I had my mom, I don't know if you remember, but my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and you guys gave me the freedom to put her, in the corner of the office while I was sitting around, and to show you who was sitting around me at the time that really helped with my success it was me, Patty, Mark Salzman, Phil Lombardi, Carl Torres, and Mike Galliotti, all within 5 feet, 3 feet of each other.
And they're all still here. Yeah,
amazing, right? It's just amazing. Dana, what are you most proud of as an owner of Pinnacle or a real estate company in general? What do you feel that your accomplishments?
I think a lot of people would answer that question for me in terms of just the growth of the company, but that's not what I'm most proud of. What I'm most proud of is the quality of the agents. I think I feel good when any of our agents are going on listing appointments or buyer appointments, because I feel like, and I know I'm biased in what I'm about to say, but I feel like our agents are more educated, that they're better trained than so many of the agents that are out there, that they know how to interact with people, that they know how to deal with other agents, with all the different people that are involved in a transaction. You have an escrow officer, and a title officer, and you have termite, and you have lending, you have you have tons of people, and your ability to work cohesively with all of these people for the next 60 days it really will determine the success or failure of that transaction. And it also will determine whether that client is going to come back and utilize your services 5 or 10 years from now.
And Dana, one of the other things that you should be proud of is the culture that you have given to us agents, not only talking about, servicing your clients correctly, but how to be respectful and loving to each other. Because, we have to work together, hopefully for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And by building relationships with one another, and your culture at Pinnacle is always be good to one another. You're going to need each other. You're going to be on the other side of that transaction. You want to be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, it's Brad. How are you? Hey, it's Dana. How are you?
Absolutely. One of the things I've been involved for the last 25 years in a group called the Brainstormers. It's an organization in which there's the heads of about 24 real estate companies. We meet twice a year. We'll fly to a certain destination. We oftentimes fly speakers in to meet with us. And we talk about what's working and what's not working. And that group has really helped me in my career. And, in the last 15 years, we've actually had our top 200 agents get together and around brainstorming tables, and they have the questions a month ahead of time, and just kind of share with each other what's working, what's not working. And people always say to me, I can't believe that you get your top producers to share their secrets. And,
We love it.
it's unbelievable. People just share. And I remember the very first year that we did that, when I approached a couple of the top producers, they said to me, Dana, why would I give away all my secrets? And I said to them, I said, you're at a table of 10. There's 9 other top producers that are at that table.
You know what you're going to
And if
learn?
all of you share, you're going to gain 9 times what you give out. And once that happened, it's been unbelievable just watching the sharing that takes place, not just at that event, but all throughout the year.
Yeah. And you know, from the very first brainstormers you did back then, I was at that table with Raquel Magro. And Raquel said, she says, what I do is, she says, I send out birthday cards and anniversary cards and I had never done that. Do you know, ever since then, every month I fill out 150 to 200 handwritten, my writing is horrible, so I usually have someone do it, but handwritten birthday and anniversary cards from when they bought their house, even if they're not my client, if they just live in my farm. And I took that from there and I learned from her. And then I gave her a couple of things and she had actually called me and it was wonderful. And that's how you see brainstormers. It's not about giving your secrets away. It's about building each other up. Isn't our world much better when we're good to one another?
I'll tell you, when I look at the world today, and
we need more of that.
I mean, it's really sad, everything that's going on. But when I get in a room with watching all of our agents brainstorm with one another, I feel like everything's right in the world. It's here
nice.
they are sharing, what makes them successful, and people using what other people have done. It makes me feel so good. You using Raquel's stuff, or Raquel's using some of your things, and that's like really incredible.
So Dana, let me ask you a question. Let's I hope you don't feel that I'm getting personal here, but I would love, and I think our listeners would love to know a little bit about you in the sense of, what are you most proud of personally as a person?
It's really kind of a hard question for me, because I feel like everything that I've done with other people. I've always been kind of involved in the team concept. And so I've got partners that I'm very grateful for. I don't look at what I've done for this business. I kind of look more of what this business has done for me. And I just think about the fact that through this business, I've been able to raise a family. I've had a nice place, a nice roof over my head, and make sure we take good family vacations and build memories, and a lot of the things that you do. But we advocate that because I feel like too many agents that are good agents, but they can burn out. All of a sudden, you work, and you look up and you go, wow, I didn't even realize that. I've worked 22 straight days.
Right.
There's a point where that's not very
healthy.
Yeah.
Right. That's wonderful. I mean, and Dana, to be married for 42 years to your beautiful wife, Maureen, who I love, who is just an amazing person. And I'm sure she's been an amazing partner for you.
Yes, absolutely.
You guys have done a really fantastic job, and you've been a very, whether you realize it or not, you knew me as a young, I'm gonna blow your mind away for a minute. Okay. I want you to look at something. This is the Brad that Dana met. Now, do you see that? Now, if you remember, I was wearing $3 suits and slicking my hair back. Like I thought I was, Mike Volante, and I used to kid like I was a mafioso, the only Jewish mafioso you'll ever meet, but Italian mob anyway. But I used to buy my suits for $3 at the thrift store because, as you know, my dad would have helped me in a heartbeat. But I didn't want that. I wanted to make it on my own.
And you did. And I remember one other thing. I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, but
whatever you.
I remember you were on the phone in the back of the Northridge office. In fact, you were in the parking lot. And I don't know if you remember what you were doing besides being on the phone, but you were also smoking a cigarette.
Yes.
And,
I remember you giving me a hard time.
and I said, Brad, those things are going to kill you. And you're going to have this beautiful family and they want you to be around. So I knew you were going to be successful. I just wanted to keep you healthy.
Yes, you did. And that was the athlete in you and caring about your body. And I listened. It took me a couple of years, but I listened and haven't touched a cigarette in 20 years. And
Wow,
yeah,
congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, I don't even, it was just it was one of those things when I started with you, I was a single guy, right? And then my wife gave me 1 hour to meet her. And next thing you know, I was sitting at your 50th birthday party at the Jonathan Club,
Yeah.
and now I'm 50, I'll be 51. Believe it or not, I'll be 51 next month. So, time flies, Dana.
Unbelievable.
So Dana, Zig Ziglar said a goal properly reached, a goal properly set is halfway reached. So a goal properly set is halfway reached. What kind of goal would you recommend that a new agent has?
I think there's a few different goals that a new agent should have. I think one should be an educational goal.
Yes.
I'm very interested in what classes that they've taken.
Very important.
And how much they've learned. Another thing that I look at is prospecting. What are their prospecting goals looking like, and their game plan each day. I want to know how many leads are they getting.
Tell them, Dana. Tell them your. This is the Dana Potter mathematical equation on leads. If you get how many leads a day, what does it equate to, Dana?
Well, we always said that if you wanted to make more than a six-figure income, that if you went out there and you just got one lead a day, which is very
just talking to people, right?
If you're prospecting 2 to 3 hours a day, you're going to get at least one lead a day, and one lead a day, 4 days a week, 50 weeks in the year, you're sitting there with 200 leads. You're going to make a six-figure income. And imagine if you did that 2 years in a row. How about 3 years or 5 years? I mean, all of a sudden, people ask me, we have a gentleman in our Westlake office, people say, how did you get him to come over? And he was making about $750,000 at a competitor's company. And I just said, you know what? He wanted to learn how to make $1 million.
I was going to say, you said, how come you're not making $1 million?
Yeah. I just said, what are your goals? And, he was making money through online leads, which I don't know if you know a lot about that, Brad.
It'll milk you.
It'll kill you.
Yeah,
you're answering the phone 24 hours a day, and those people demand all of you at all times.
That's right.
And it's just a really rough way.
Yeah.
And I knew that he had a young family, and I just said to him, I can show you a way where you can make a seven-figure income and have a life. And I said,
you taught him to work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Dana, how important is it to have a good attitude in business or in real estate?
Well, I think attitude is everything. This is a business where you're going to have a lot of obstacles thrown in front of you. We're in the problem-solving business. That's what we do. And if you don't have the right attitude, I've had an agent come up to me and say, "Oh, I can't believe this business. I mean, it's problem after problem after problem." I go, "Exactly.
Isn't that great?
Paid for." If there were no problems, guess what? They wouldn't need us. But they do need us because there's a lot of things that take place that are, that you didn't know at the start of an escrow that those things would happen. I always tell my clients, I don't know what it is, but something is going to pop up. And
always does.
2 or 3 things. And if we all work together in the spirit of cooperation, we're going to make this thing very successful. We'll make it happen on time. But if we bow our backs and we try to go, oh, that person's taken advantage of me, or, we all need to work together to make a transaction successful.
Yeah. And two things, Dana, what's really important is communication. So no matter what's going on, always communicate with your clients and the other agents and let them know what's going on. Don't wait till you have all of the answers. Just call them and let them know what's going on, that you're working on it, and they'll appreciate it. Right.
It's so, I was just going to say, you're 100% right, because it's so funny to listen to people complain about a certain thing. But when I ask, so what's been the communication around that issue?
Yeah.
All of a sudden they go quiet.
Yeah.
And I go, well, that's the problem, so it is, communication is key.
Yeah. You've been teaching that for a long time. And I pride myself in that. I think that's a huge reason for part of my success is that my communication is, I talk to my clients every day.
Yeah.
Just to let them know that things are okay, because what we have to remember is, guys, we do this every day, but our clients don't.
Mm-hmm.
They would appreciate just the assurance and the reassurance of your voice. Hey, I just wanted to say hello and let you know that things are great. We're moving right along, and we'll talk tomorrow. And that's it. It takes 20 seconds from your car, right?
Yeah. Communication and I think perseverance is probably the other
definitely
key part about our business. I always compare things to my background, which was in sports, and I just you work hard every day and good things happen.
That's right. Good part. Now, Dana, we've talked a little bit today about sphere of influence, and I know that that's really your, that's number one in your bag of tricks, that you are the king. If you haven't heard Dana Potter on sphere of influence, you just haven't lived. So could you just explain just a little bit of sphere of influence, what it is, and maybe give a tip or two to my listeners?
Of course, I'd be glad to. Yeah, I love sphere of influence. The sphere of influence, actually, I don't think I even heard the words sphere of influence related to real estate till about 20 years ago. And we were very fortunate to meet a gentleman that was instrumental in helping us put together our sphere system. And sphere of influence is basically everybody that you know. And it's not just your friends, it's not just your family, it's people you've known through the years and forgotten about. And social media is a great way to reconnect with so many of those people. You can look people up. But I think, we forget about all the different people that we've met in our life. And Sphere is really about two things. It's about growing the friendship or relationship. And it's also about growing the number of people that are in your database. And so once we really get focused and people build their database, we're then working on all the different things in our system that allow us to build the friendships. People pick an agent based upon 4 criteria. They want to like you, as I said, they want to trust you, they want to have seen or heard from you recently, which happens through our Sphere program. And they want to know that you're successful, which also happens through our Sphere program. We're able to kind of give thanks to all the people that have made us successful and let them know we appreciate their referrals. And
saying thank you is important, right?
Oh, it's critical. And so many times, agents will get a referral and they forget to go back and thank or take that person that gave you the referral, take them to dinner and just, be grateful for what they have. I look at today's business and, it's amazing. There's so many real estate agents out there. I think all of my friends probably know 5 to 10 real estate agents. So when they choose me to represent them, I think, wow,
lucky.
I don't look at the, every once in a while you have someone that chooses to use someone else. I don't ever get upset about that anymore. I think about all the people that choose me when they had so many other options. I mean, I'm so grateful for it.
That's wonderful. That's a great attitude. Dana, let's talk for a minute about the agent who is out there right now, who's a good person, working hard. They've got a family. They're pulling over in their car and they're crying because they're just struggling and they just don't know what to do. What would you say to that agent, to that person, to them, help feed their soul? What words of wisdom can you give to them?
Well, I know that what I'm about to say sounds easy, and it's not. And I try to tell them right from the get-go that we're going to turn this ship around, and we're going to make this happen. I want you to get a really clear idea of how we're going to do it, and that it doesn't happen overnight. But
Right.
I think for the most part, it's really important that they understand the role that prospecting plays in our business. I tell people there's 4 simple steps to this business. It starts with prospecting. If you prospect, you'll get leads.
Yeah.
If you get leads, they turn into appointments, and appointments turn into money. And
Yes,
so
they
if
do.
you want a lot of money, then
Prospect.
you've got to go on a lot of appointments. And to get a lot of appointments, you need a lot of leads. And to get a lot of leads, you got to prospect.
So they're one deal away from being in a good mood, right?
Oh, I always say, you're one double pop away from
That's it.
being elated. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
it. That's it. Riding
Yeah.
high in March, shot down in May. But it's a good thing to really be happy. Just keep working.
Ray Charles.
So Dana, I'm going to take you back for a second to the 80s. And we used to watch a movie called Back to the Future. Do you remember that movie?
Yes, I do.
So if old Dana could jump into a DeLorean right now, fly back to let's say the 70s, when you were just that superstar football player, what would you fly back and say to young Dana? What's important and you wish you'd be able to say to young Dana?
Well, one of the things is we mentioned that we really started the sphere system about 18 years ago. That leaves about 22 years of my career before that, all the sales that I had, all the people that I met in my life. Raising kids is just an amazing thing. But one of the great things about it is it gives you an opportunity to meet other parents.
Yes. Gold mine right there.
Yeah, it is a gold mine. So, it's just a matter of, I think the one thing that I would do differently is I would keep track of all of these people.
Yes.
And I think for many years, I had a mindset of the next one, the next one, the next one. And now I've got a mindset of, as you said, being grateful for the one that I do have currently and where it came from.
Yeah, isn't that important? That's really wonderful. That's wonderful. I'll tell you, this has been a really great experience for me to be able to interview you, and who is a legend in our business, and really, you've just meant so much to my career, and I could say a million wonderful things about you. But what would you want the real estate community, when this is all over, when you retire or do whatever, what do you want the real estate community, what do you hope that they remember about Dana Potter?
Well, first, Brad, I want to say, it's an honor to be a part of this. I'm very thankful that you asked me. And I think what you're doing for not just new people, but for people that might be in a slump, or for agents in general, I think a lot of this, I've watched some of your shows, and they're just incredible. People offer so much, and I think
Nice.
there's so much to learn in this business. So
thank you.
I with respect to our industry, I am just extremely grateful. I think there's new things that are coming about all the time. there's, I would say, kind of beware of the shiny penny.
Yes.
It doesn't shine for very long. It loses its luster. And
What do
really,
you want them to remember about you? What Dana, you're very good at evading those questions about yourself. But what do you want someone to say about Dana Potter in 20 years or 30 years or 40 years?
well, I get the most enjoyment, very frankly, out of seeing people that I work with do great.
Yes,
You know, when I look at my partners in this business, we all work very hard, and none of us live in Beverly Hills or spend money frivolously.
there you go, tongue twister.
But I think the big thing is we really do have a desire to see our people succeed. We know that when we're working with someone, that person has a family.
Yes.
And so, it's not just 1,100 agents. You can multiply that times 4 or 5 when you think about the people that are impacted.
Right.
So I get, and I know my partners do too, we get great enjoyment out of seeing people do well and turn their lives around and be able to do things for their kids that they at one time didn't think was possible, and be able to take nice vacations and just make memories in their life. To me, that's all worthwhile. Life is too short, so we've got to make the most of it while God has put us down here.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And Dana, if there's a buyer or seller out there who want to use you, or someone who would like maybe some advice, maybe they're on a different part of the country, but they like what they've heard and they need some advice, or someone who wants to come to work for Pinnacle, how could they get a hold of you?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. I mean, every agent at Pinnacle has my cell phone number,
yes.
and as do they have my partners' numbers as well. And we always want people to be able to get a hold of us. If people are interested in contacting me, they can, number one, email me. It's Dana, D-A-N-A, at pinnacleestate.com. They can reach me at 805-222-6000. And I would be more than happy to help in any way that I can.
And Dana really would. He really is that genuine. And Dana, before we end this, I just wanted to show you again one more time. So this picture of me, I just remembered, do you know that on here, it says business, voicemail, fax, and pager. There is no email. There is no cell phone. I am a relic in this business. I mean, my daughter said, "Dad, what's a pager?" And I go, "Well, you used to stop at a payphone." And they go, "What's a payphone?"
It's so funny because when you say that, I think of you as one of my kids.
Yes.
So when I hear you tell those stories, right? I know I'm getting old.
Oh, you look fantastic. You look exactly the same, by the way. So, Dana, thank you so much for being here. Everyone, if you are watching this on YouTube, don't forget to go to Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, any major, podcast site, and you can listen to this in the car. And if you're listening to this in the car and you want to see Dana's good looking face, then go to ATRE Podcast on YouTube. And don't forget to go to ATREpodcast.com. Go down, make sure you sign up for my 5 free secrets on how to be successful in real estate today. Every couple days, you're going to get a great video on what to do. Then if you're enjoying that, sign up for a free coaching session with me. If you're that agent who's struggling and you just don't quite know what to do, I want you to wake up. I want you to put a smile on your face. I want you to book a free appointment with me, and let's see if we can get you turned around. My dad always said, have an attitude of gratitude. I know Dana feels the same way. I do. God bless you. And I look forward to working with you all soon. Thanks, Dana.
Thank you.
And that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Many of my podcast listeners have become my coaching clients. If you'd like to be a coaching client, Go to my website at www.atrepodcast.com and sign up for your free 30-minute coaching evaluation at www.atrepodcast.com. And as my dad would always say, have an attitude of gratitude.